If I had a nickel for every time a playoff game in Baltimore where the Baltimore team lost got impacted by a flying device, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. Welcome everybody to JJ News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jared, and I'm representing the 904 from the 602, and today we are talking about the news that came out regarding the man who flew the drone during the AFC Championship game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. If you wonder what I was referring to earlier, back in the 70s, there was an infamous incident in a game between the Baltimore Colts and the Pittsburgh Steelers where a plane crashed into the Upper Deck Memorial Stadium after the game was done. Fortunately, no one died or got injured in the stands of that game, which was good, but there's a very good documentary on that by Secret Base and John Boyce. Go check that out if you've not done so already. It's one of my favorite videos on YouTube. But about half a century later, we have this incident with the flying drone in the game between the Ravens and the Chiefs during the AFC Championship 2 weeks ago. We now have more details on the man who flew it. It's a 44-year-old man from Pennsylvania by the name of Matthew Hebert, and he is now being charged for illegally operating a drone during the playoff game. State United States Attorney Eric Barron, illegally operating drones poses a significant security risk that will lead to federal charges, and if he's convicted, he faces a maximum sentence of 3 years in federal prison for knowingly operating an unregistered UAS and for knowingly serving as an airman without an airman's certificate. This drone was unlicensed. He was unregistered to fly it. Now, he claimed that he didn't know of any restrictions, which is a load of bull. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Let's get out of the way first. You can't get out of a speeding ticket by saying you didn't know the speed limit. You can't get out of shoplifting by saying you didn't know that you couldn't steal. So ignorance of the law never has been an excuse, never will be, nor should it be. This is especially true because we had a drone stoppage earlier in the season with the Ravens-Bengals game. Remember that? That was on Thursday Night Football back in November, where drones ended up stopping the play for a bit, and they ended up catching the man who flew those drones and ordered them to fly back down. But now we have this bigger game with 55 million people watching it in the AFC Championship, sold-out crowd at M&T Bank Stadium. So you can't even say that this was the first time it happened. You can't claim ignorance of the law when you know you can't fly a drone because it happened 2 months ago during that Ravens-Bengals game at the same exact stadium. The rule says you can't fly a drone within a 3-mile radius of any stadium that holds over 30,000 people during game day. Now, there are maybe 2 things you could claim. Ignorance of the fact that M&T Bank Stadium holds less than 30,000 and ignorance of the fact that there was a game. Both of those claims are complete bull. You can't claim ignorance of the fact that the stadium doesn't hold more than 30,000. Every NFL stadium holds at least 60,000. And attendance info is widely available in newspapers with box scores and with a simple Google search. If you look at any box score, it says A next to it at the bottom of it, and it will tell you the attendance of the game. So you can't possibly claim that the stadium holds less than 30,000 if the number is constantly above 65,000. Courts have held that even so much as a single notice in a newspaper is enough to inform someone that they've been notified and they've been served. I learned a lot of cases like that in Civ Pro, not a fun class whatsoever, but I learned that, and I retained that info, so there's no way you can get around that with all of the information that we know. You also can't claim ignorance of the fact that there wasn't a game taking place, because an average of over 55 million people watched this game. It's not like this was being held in secret. This was the most watched AFC Championship of all time. This was the second biggest game of the NFL season. Plus, there was ample coverage in papers and in media. You had to be living under a rock to not know that there was a game taking place, and obviously, this 44-year-old man was not. Look, we have no clue what drones can do. We've seen drone warfare being used in Ukraine and in Palestine. All it takes is one crazy person with a drone to drop something or to lose control and go crashing at full speed into the stands. We don't want that. There's geo-restrictions for a reason. There's restrictions on why you can't fly over stadiums during game day. No-fly zones exist for a reason, and we need to deter this kind of behavior. The goal of punishment and sending people to prison, in a lot of people's mind, including myself, is to deter other people from doing the crime. So hopefully he gets the max sentence, because it's not about the fact that the game was stopped. It's not about the fact that the NFL could be losing money from this. It's nothing to do with that. This is a matter of security. You can't violate airspace. The FAA takes airspace seriously, especially after what happened on September 11th. You cannot violate airspace like that. The fact that he was unlicensed and unregistered and did this, and now he's claiming ignorance of the law, yeah, throw the book at him. Throw the book at him and deter other people from doing the same thing, because all it takes is one crazy person with a drone to mess everything up going forward. But what are your thoughts? What do you think his punishment should be? Do you own a drone? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And that's going to do it for this episode of JG9 News. Be sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out my main channel, Jaguar 9, where we talk all things NFL history all the time. Until next time, this is Jaguar 9 signing off. And as always, go Jags.